Well, thank you for everyone that's here today, and I am going to give my testimony, and it's pretty amazing. I feel very grateful to the Lord for giving me this testimony to be able to give to others, and this is just so that everyone will know out there and in here that Jesus Christ is real, and that there is a place called heaven. Around 1981, I was in the Navy, and I went 2 weeks without eating. I was fasting for 2 weeks. And the Lord told me, He said He would show me something if I would fast and continue to pray. And I prayed all the time. I mean, all the time. And I had a special place that I would go out on the ship and pray. And people would just walk past me and they expected me to be there. And it just happened to be by the smokestack, so it was always warm. But the thing about praying is when you're praying, you're aware of your circumstances. You're aware of what's going on around you. It doesn't matter how long you pray, you know that you're right there and you have an awareness that your body is on its knees or whatever position you're in. Well, what happened to me was after 2 weeks of fasting, I never gave up. It was Sunday night on the ship, and the meal had closed down. There was no way to get any more food. And I was continuing to fast because I believed the Lord when He told me that He would show me something. So I was on my knees on the O3 level of the ship by the smokestack, and I had a guy that was there with me at the time, because I told him, I said, the Lord told me He's going to show me something. So he was always there with me every night, and make sure that I was taken care of. When this happened. So he was there, and I had no sooner got on my knees than the angel of the Lord came and got me out of this body. Just took me, and we started going up. I remember we got up, and the farther up we got, the darker it got. But you could see stars and everything. But it was real dark, and this was really fast. So it was like He came and got me. Next thing we were off the ship, and we were in space or whatever. And it was dark. And I remember that He sat me down when we came to heaven. He set me down in front of this big, bright, white light. I mean, we look at the sun, and it was not near as bright as this white light. I mean, this light was just, it radiated purity. It was just so pure and white. And when He sat me down there, I could feel the love and peace and goodness that I've never felt in my life. And the more this light absorbed into me, the more love there was, the more peace there was. And it's just something like I'd never felt before. I never felt that kind of love. I never felt that kind of joy. I never felt that kind of peace. And it would just flood my soul. I mean, I would just inundated with love. And then I take about as much as that as I could get, and then joy, and then peace. And I could have stayed there forever, right there in front of that, just absorbing all the love that was coming from this bright white light. I didn't see anybody in there. I did not. It was just a big glow. And I could look at the sun after this. I could look straight into the sun and it didn't burn my eyes or anything. It just seemed yellow compared to how white and bright that light was. And so after I don't know how long I stayed there. And by the way, I was not even aware. My body was back on the ship, but I wasn't even aware. There was no awareness in me. My soul had literally been taken out of my body by the Lord. So all the time that I was gone, I have no recollection. After hours of being gone, no recollection at all that there was even a vessel there. People could have been walking around me. I have no clue. People could have come through the door because it was right by the door. I have no clue anything that happened. No, none. Anyway, so I'm standing in front of this bright white light, and I just so filled with love. But I knew that I had somewhere I had to go. So after I was filled up, the Lord was getting me ready for what he was going to show me, where he was going to take me. And I remember that after I was looking at this bright white light, I knew that there was somewhere for me to go, and it was like there was a path for me to follow. There was a path set out, a course. So I turned around from that light, and then there was a path set. So I'm walking this path, and I come to a tunnel. When I came to that tunnel, it was dark. When I started in that tunnel, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, but it's really a funny thing because I did not feel like I was going to run into anybody. I didn't feel like I was going to run into a wall, and it was dark, completely dark. And I just kept walking. You know, I don't know if you've ever walked through a tunnel, but it's dark inside a tunnel anyhow. But you walk very carefully, very, very carefully, because you don't want to run into a wall or you don't. But I had no cares at all of anything like that, running into a wall or running into anybody. And I'm just walking through that tunnel. It's so dark. And as I go into the tunnel, I'm going through the tunnel, and it starts to get lighter and lighter, lighter and lighter, till I get on the other side of the tunnel. And then it's bright. I went through the tunnel, started out dark, and I got to the other side, it's bright, and as far as you could see is green grass. And it is beautiful grass. It's really hard to explain, but you look at the grass here and it's grass. When you look at it in heaven, it's almost like it's alive. So, and then as far as I could see after that, up over the top of the grass was a fence. And it stretched as far as you could see. And I had my path, and my path had me going right through that grass, right towards that fence. So I'm walking, and I stay on my path. And it brought me to a little narrow gate. Can you imagine that? As far as you could see, a fence, and my path brought me to a little narrow gate. When I walked up to that little narrow gate, there was a man on the other side of that little narrow gate, and it was Peter. It was Simon Peter. And I knew who he was. Having never seen him here, I knew exactly who he was. Couldn't figure out how I knew, but I knew. So I went up there, and I called him by name, and he called me by name. And he took some keys on his side of the gate, and he turned it, and he opened the gate. And I went in. And he shut the gate. And we talked like I'd never, like I'd known him all my life. It was amazing. But we talked and we talked. And then I knew there was a path he knew I had to go. I knew there was a path I had to follow. So I cordially said, I've got to go. And he said, I know, so. And so I'm walking this path, walking. And I come up to this mansion. And it's got steps going up in the mansion. And then it's got like a balcony type thing. And so I'm walking up the steps. I get on the top of the balcony, and I'm looking up, and I see two huge doors. And I'm thinking, there's no doorknobs, no knobs. And I'm thinking, now how am I going to get in there? Because that's where my trail is leading. I got to go in these doors. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, now how am I? And then all of a sudden, bam, the one on the right just opens up. So I step inside, and then it just closes. There's nobody around. Nobody. So I come in, and I'm walking like this, straight ahead, and there's a room there, and I never could figure out why it was amazing. It was like the floor in that room was alive. Like a sea of glass. Let's put it that way. It was alive. It was like a living chessboard. Like it was like marble, but it was absolutely beautiful. It was just like it was alive. It was stunning. I mean, that was the first room that I saw. And I was just mesmerized by it. I mean, it's really hard to explain. But it was like that. Just the floor itself was absolutely gorgeous. There wasn't even any dust on it or anything. It was just amazing. You know how we get dust on everything here? There was no dust on it, no dirt on it, no nut. It was just absolutely amazing floor. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but for me, it was just amazing. And then I left that room and I started walking down a hallway, and I look off to the right, and there is a huge room with a balcony over the top of it and a throne. There's a throne room. And that was amazing. But over to the left of me were people, souls in heaven. So I went over there and I started talking to them. All of them. They were talking to me. It was like they were family. It was like I'd known them my whole life. I couldn't figure out how I knew these people. When you walk up to somebody here, you don't know who they are. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know. When you're in heaven, you do. So you walk up to somebody here, they have to tell you who they are. They have to tell you their name. They have to tell you everything about them. In heaven, no. I didn't realize it. It took me a long time. It took me years to realize why it was. It's because you can read the thoughts and intentions on everyone's heart and mind. You wouldn't want to do it here. Really. You wouldn't. But there, you do. So everybody knows everyone. And everyone is from, what was amazing is everyone's from all over the world. All different nationalities. All different nationalities. But the one thing that everyone has in common, the one thing, is that they love Jesus. They love Jesus. I mean, they love Jesus. Now imagine this. You're there. You've made it. And you know that the only reason you're there is because of Jesus. It wasn't anything you deserved. It's what you were given. Now imagine being there, having overcome this world, being there with him for eternity. These people were so happy. They were so joyful. They couldn't wait to get in to the throne room just so that they could sing praises to him. That's what I want to do. I knew they would. That's what they were waiting for, because certain time they go in and they sing praises to Jesus, and they couldn't wait to do it. And they love him with all of their soul, heart, mind, and strength, and more than us, because they're there facing him every day now. So there's no question. All of a sudden, there's no question because they're there. So anyway, they love one another. I mean, they love one another, and they love to see new Christians come in. They're there to make sure that they welcome them because they love to see it. So this was great. I mean, I don't know how many people I talked to, how many people came up to me and said, just were so grateful that I was there. It was amazing. Then, all of us, I'm looking around the room, this room that I'm in, and I see angels. There's these windows, north, east, south, and west. And these angels have different heads on them. One body, different heads as of animals. And they're looking in, and they're looking out, and they're looking around at the same time. That was amazing. And then then the Lord came into the room, sat down on the throne, and everything stopped. It was like people were talking to me, all of a sudden, bam, nobody was talking, nobody was saying a thing. And then he called me over there to him. So I went over, and there's steps leading up to the throne. So I went over, and I didn't walk up them steps. I crawled up them steps. I crawled up 7 of those steps. After those 7 steps, there was like a plateau. I didn't have any strength left in me. There was no strength for me to do anything. I could have just died right there. No strength. And I've got my face down like this. And the Lord, Jesus, came down from the throne, walked down the rest of the steps to where that plateau was. And he said, on his way down, he said, who will go for us? I said, I'll go. Send me. I didn't want to leave heaven, though. I thought maybe I wasn't going to have to. But he came down, and I had my face to the ground. So, well, what did he look like? Well, you don't look up on Jesus like that. You know, I don't. I didn't, and I knew better than to do it. I have seen his feet. I've seen his feet. So he came down, and he kind of touched me or something, and he said, go. He said, go and tell them. Oh. Anyway, so when he did that, I seen his feet. So his feet are brown. I can tell you that. It says he's got feet like bronze, and that's exactly what it reminded me of. Feet like bronze. And so he told me something, and then he said, you'll remember this at the appointed time. I'm not so sure I still even remember what it might have been he said to me. But I do know that he said, you'll remember this at the appointed time, and I remember, wow, he just spoke to me. How am I going to forget that? You know, I remember thinking that. I'm sure he forgave that. How can I forget? God has spoken to me. How can I forget what he said? But when I got back to my body, it was like, bam, I forgot. I don't know what it was. But at the appointed time, I suppose I'll know. So I just tell everybody what I know to be fact. So anyway, he said, okay. He said, okay, go. You know, it was like, okay, go play. So when his children get together and they love on one another and they care for one another, it's like play to him. It's like a child's playing around, like a child playing, you know, to him. He said, okay, go play. So I backed down the throne, keeping my head down. I knew I wasn't worthy to look on him. People say they've seen Jesus. Okay. Oh, maybe they have. But I'll tell you what, I knew better. So, you know, I don't know, but I knew better. So I kept my head down, back down the stairs, and then I did an about face. I was in the Navy. I didn't want to be tempted to look. I wasn't supposed to do it. So I did an immediate about face, turned around, went back, started talking with everybody again. Like I said, at that time I couldn't figure out how I knew. It's telepathy. It's telepathy in heaven. Nothing is hidden. So a sin would actually be to let somebody who's not saved by the blood of Christ into heaven. That'd be a sin. They stand out like a... They're not covered by the blood. So I went back over and I'm talking to everybody, and it's wonderful. And I think, oh man, maybe I will get to say. I didn't want to come back. I'm actually here under duress. I did not want to come back. I wanted to stay. I was happy. That is our destination. If that's your destination and you achieve it, believe me, you ain't wanting to come back. It's over. So I'm talking to everybody, having a great time, thinking, oh man, maybe I'm going to get a stay. And then I thought, well, maybe if somebody would kill my body. Seriously. I was out there on an O3 level of the ship. I was 3 stories up, and there was just a little thin rail of wire going around, holding people from going over the edge, 3 stories down, or the other way, 3 stories into the water. And I really didn't care. I didn't care if somebody came up, stabbed me, shot me, kicked me over the side, kicked me down on the deck. I didn't care. I could stay. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And the Lord said to me, he said, okay, it's time. I knew exactly what that meant. There was no question in my mind that he meant that it was time for me to come back to earth, back into my body. And I didn't want to, but you don't argue with God. I mean, when he says, it's time, it's time. I mean, you don't argue with God. So bad as I wanted to stay, I headed for the door. And I tell you, the worst feeling I've ever had, ever. When that door came open, I stepped on the other side of that door of heaven, in that mansion, and it shut. Then I walked my path, led me right back to where Peter was. I said, we'll see you later, Peter. He said, we'll see you later, Don. Put a key in the gate, opened it up. I stepped onto the other side. He closed the gate, and I was back in my body. Just like that. So I'm telling you what I know to be true. I'm not telling you something I read. I'm not telling you something I believe. I'm telling you facts. And that's why I went there, and that's why I'm back. To give the facts. Hope. And there's just no question about any of it. So we need to keep on doing what God has called us to do, and we will have a reward in heaven. And that reward will be greater than we can imagine. I mean, that was one room. He said, in my Father's house are many mansions. I was only in one. And if it was that awesome for me, oh, by the way, I've seen the table. I have seen the table set for the marriage feast of the Lamb. I forgot to tell you that. I have seen it. It's set. I have seen all the silverware is placed. Everything's in order. It's just waiting for your glorified body so everybody can eat. You got to have a glorified body before you can eat. Spirits don't eat. That'll happen at the rapture. You have a glorified body. The dead in Christ shall rise first. That we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. That is a physical body. like the same one that Jesus had when he ate after he came back from the dead. So, we ought to be, of most people, so humble and understanding of everything that God does. Because it's for our good, like Dennis says, right? So that's my testimony.